officially. What's happening in this scenario? You mysteriously ended up on an island. Now you have no idea of how you reached on the island, but there's a mystery on the island. See if you all could figure out what the mystery is and why you are stranded on this island and you have no memory of it. All right, so let's just play along here. Right, so you swim to the shore. Right now, what I'm gonna do, I need a name for the person, right? So I have 4 persons to choose from, right? Just to make it a little fun. I have 4 characters to choose from. Whoever you all decide, I will refer to the story. I'll use that character's name in it. So we have a little voting session here. All right, so I'll launch in a poll. You all choose who you want to be the lead character. So get started, vote very quickly. Each character has a name and certain traits. So you all get to decide. That's quickly, just for fun. All right, so you all seen the results there? I did not expect Tom to win. I honestly thought Sandra was going to win. All right, so Tom is on the island and he's going to visit different parts of the island. So let's see what's happening in the story here. Right, so make sure and read the text properly. It will help you figure out what's going on in the scenario. All right, so let's start off with the first question on measurements. Everyone get started on this one. Feel free to send your answers. I don't think it will cause too much problems as we did a lot of questions like these in the past. All right, so let's see what I think the main problem here is that you only want the time it takes to go from South Point to Bird Park. You're not counting the time you are spending at South Point. So check it out. They arrive at South Point at 9:38, but they leave at 9:40. So they now leave South Point and they're going to journey and arrive at where? Bird Park, which is what? At 11:16. So they only want the time it takes between the pink values here, the circle pink values. So let's break this down quickly. It's 9:40. How much time does it take to reach 10 a.m.? Think about it. If it's 9:40, won't it take 20 minutes to reach 10 a.m.? 9:40 isn't too far away from 10 a.m. And then how long does it take to go from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.? Well, that's 1 hour, right? Or 60 minutes. Then to reach 11:16, obviously it's 16 minutes from that point. So to me, it's really 1 hour and 36 minutes. If you add up all the values in front of you. Now, I know some people stated the answer differently. I'm going to discuss that just now. So the answer for this one is 1 hour and 36 minutes, right? If it were me, I would write it out like that in any exam, but whether it be CXC or whether it be NCSC, I would write it out like that. But some people don't like a mixture of hours and minutes. So you might want to convert everything to hours, well, which is acceptable in the exam. How do you convert minutes to hours? I'll give you an easy example. Let's say it has 30 minutes, something we're all familiar with. We all know 30 minutes is half an hour. So how do they get that? Well, to convert minutes to hours, you just divide by 60. And we all know why, because it has 60 minutes in an hour. And 30 divided by 60 is a half. So that's how you get that. Well, that's the mathematics behind getting a half an hour from 30 minutes. So if you wanted this 36 minutes, you could convert it to hours by dividing it by 60. And 36 divided by 60, let me get my calculator. 36 divided by 60 is 0.6. So you could have also stated the answer as 1.6 hours. I believe anyone would be correct in any exam. So for part 2 now, South Point is 80 kilometers away from Bird Park. Calculate the speed of the bus. Now, this goes back to a very popular formula in math, something we did last term. Do you all remember this formula? Distance is speed multiplied by time. So let me write it out improperly here for you. And I want to discuss this. Will give me a chance to talk about this formula again. Right? Even if you have the formula, take it back down. No harm in revising it. No harm at all. All right. So usually when you're using this formula, you have two options, or two popular options. The distance can be measured in meters, but if the distance is being measured in meters, you want your time to be in seconds, right? And the speed will come out in meters per second, right? Just now, Mohammed, right now, right now I'm just stating the formula, right? I'm 100% sure that that formula is correct. Distance is speed multiplied by time. I know they asked us to calculate speed. I will get to that in a few seconds, all right? Now, there's another option here, right? Sometimes the examiner doesn't want the distance in meters, and he doesn't want the time in seconds, and he doesn't want the speed to come out in meters per second. So the next formula, the other option is the distance could be measured in kilometers, the time could be measured in hours, and if we do that, the speed comes out in kilometers per hour. Now, you gotta be real careful. Huh? But in today's question, I believe we're using the green option because they ask us for what? The speed in kilometers per hour. Whenever they want the time in hours, which option do you think we are going to use? 1 hour and 36 minutes or 1.6 hours? Which time, or how are we going to phrase the time for the formula? Are we going to use the pink option or are we going to use the black option? Sahana, correct. Sahara, correct. Right, Sadie, correct. Shania, correct. Right, we have to use the black option because the formula is asking us for the time in hours, not for a mixture of hours and minutes. A lot of y'all might be saying, well, obviously, but you'll be surprised of how much students would write by mistake. You know what they would put for the time by mistake? They would put 1.36 hours. I've seen it over and over, but it's really 1.6. So you think you all could calculate the speed for me now? Because we know the distance is 80 kilometers. We're trying to find the speed, and we know the time is 1.6. This is a simple transposing question. We want to solve for S, so throw across the multiply on the other side. and it becomes what? A divide. And well, kindly send your answer on the chat. Jarrell, correct. And send the correct units as well, everybody. I want to know if you put in kilometers per hour or meters per second. Haley, correct. Stefan, correct. Priya, correct. Sanjana, correct. Sahara, correct. Right. Imani, correct. Right, so Anjayu, correct. So you're throwing across the multiply to get what? A divide. So you end up with what? 80 divided by 16. So the speed is 50 kilometers per hour. Right? So everyone take down the working, right? Whatever you need to. Clear the screen. Next, we have 2 questions per situation. So the next question is well, a semicircular prism, right? So they're asking for things like cross-sectional area and volume. So everyone take a 5 minutes, see what you could come up with, and send your answers. All right, now, in case you don't understand the word in here, they want the area of the cross-section. The cross-section is the face. It is this point a little face, a little smiley face, right? So what we're really doing in part 1, they're asking us to find the area of the half a circle, better known as a semicircle. So you have to ask yourself, first of all, how do you find the area of a full circle? Now, the area of a full circle, as you all might recall, is pi multiplied by the radius squared. But that's for a full circle. This face is not a full circle, it's a half a circle. So to find the area of this shape, we have to divide by 2, because that's how you find half of anything. You divide by 2. Now, the examiner has told us to make sure and use pi as 3.14. So in other words, he does not want you to type in 22/7, and he does not want you to use the pi button on the calculator. So we're going to take 3.14, which is pi. How much is the radius, by the way? Send that on the chat for me. What is the radius of that half a circle? I'm going to draw it a little bigger here. Right. Angelina, wrong. Right? Remember, the diameter goes from one end to the other end of a circle. Well, whether it be a circle or half a circle. So the diameter is 30 centimeters, but the formula requires the radius. Recall that the radius is half the diameter. So that means the radius is actually 15. Okay, so don't fall for that trick in the exam, okay? So we have to multiply by 15 squared and then divide it by 2 because it's half of a circle. Right, so for those who didn't submit an answer, you think you can just submit an answer for part 1 at least? Type it in on the calculator, and they said to go to 3 significant figures, right? So we'll go through the significant figures just now. It's going to be super easy. And this is what I am seeing on the calculator. 353.25 centimeters squared. I haven't rounded it off to 3 significant figures as yet, but make sure you physically see it on your calculator. Just don't say, hey, I can do that whenever the time comes. Do it now, right? Right, so Nikolai, remember they said to specifically not use the pi button. Nicholas, you will actually get that wrong in the exam if they see you do that. They told you to use 3.14, you have to follow the instructions. Now, if they wanted to 3 significant figures means they just want the first 3 values. So they only want the 3, the 5, and the 3. So the final answer for part 1 is 353 centimeters squared. Now in part 2, right, they want you to find the volume. Now, this is the easy types of volume question. This is what you call a uniform shape. What is a uniform shape? A uniform shape is a shape that has the same thickness right through. You notice if this was like a loaf of bread, anywhere you cut the bread, you will get the same semicircle, and the semicircle will be the same size. Whenever you want to find the volume of a uniform shape, you just have to take the face area, which we just found, the area of the face, and multiply by the length or height of the object. But in this case here, we don't have a height. We have the length of the object. But this formula only applies to uniform shapes, right? So quickly find the volume of the, we're calling it a prism, which is a uniform shape. And send it over on the chat there. Okay. I'm trying to figure out well, what's causing the error in the questions. Remember, to find the volume, we just have to take the face area, which we just did, right? Remember, the area of the face was 353, right? So we put 353, and we just have to multiply by the length of the object. Now, how much is the length of the object? 1.2. That's all you had to do now, guys. That's all. And you would have gotten 423.6 centimeters cubed. But they wanted the 3 decimal places, right? So it would just be 423 centimeters cubed. Based on, I'm not putting down anybody, but I got over 10 wrong answers. Was it because you all were overthinking it somehow? Give me some feedback on what was the error, because I already need to try to figure out what you all were thinking on that end, so I could try to resolve the issue. And the error was on my end. All right, I got it wrong. And I thank you for pulling up my socks. They gave us the length in 1.2 meters, and I had it in centimeters. So what I was supposed to do was convert the meters to centimeters. So I'm thinking I'm supposed to multiply this by how much? 100, right? So if I multiply this by 100 now to convert it to centimeters, right? How much will we get now? 353 multiplied by 1200, right? And how much we get in the 120, sorry. I made another mistake, sorry. We will get 42360 centimeters cubed. Right, that's I'm going to update the answer here. 42360 centimeters cubed. All right, now given this answer, still about 8 people got it wrong, right? They didn't get my previous answer or this answer, right? So I'm not too sure of why, what's causing the error, right? But if you, for those who want to share why you got it wrong still, please do, so I'll know how to discuss it on the chat, okay? So don't hold back, right? Just tell me what you think you misinterpreted in it at least. All right, so part 3 now. This is where the hint comes in now. Right? Right, so take a try on that one. I'll give you one more thing. Do not forget that the face area, right, is 353. You're going to have to use this in part 3 over here. Let me give you a little, let everyone a little hint. Let's pretend that we are unfolding this shape. Now remember, it have a face in front, and of course, there's a face to the back that you cannot see. How much of you all agree that if we unfold this, we will get something looking like this? Because, let me draw it first. Second, show that bad. You'll get something looking like this. You all can agree with that? That if you unfold this shape, because the roof of the shape, if you unfold a cylinder or half of a cylinder, you actually get a rectangle. And then you have this here is the face in front, and this is the face behind. And we already know the area of this piece is 353, and we already know that the face behind is going to be the same exact size. The question is, the rectangle part here, we need to find the area of the rectangle part. Now, we know the distance from here to here is 120 centimeters. I think that's understood by now. But who can tell me what is the distance from here to here? Please don't say 30. It cannot be 30. 30 is the straight distance, right? But if you take, I guarantee you, if the distance from here to here is 30, the distance from the curved distance cannot be the same. A straight distance and the curved distance has to be what? Different. So you're probably asking yourself now, how do you find the curved distance? Well, this goes back to a formula from, I guess, form 2 or form 3 or somewhere around there. Remember how you find the circumference of a circle? Circumference of a circle is pi multiplied by the diameter. But remember two things. The examiner is asking you to use pi as 3.14. Also, this is a full circle. We just need half the curved distance, half the circumference. So when you're trying to find this distance, you're using the same formula, but whenever you want to find half of something, you divide by 2. So you think you all could find the curved distance? We have pi. They gave you the diameter. This time the formula is calling for the diameter. So the diameter is 30. Multiply those two things divided by 2, and you will get the curved distance, which when you straighten it out, will be equal to the curved distance. Right. So let me see here. 3.14 multiplied by 30 divided by 2. And I am getting, I using here as 30, right? I am getting 47.1. Right. And you all can find the area of the whole shape now, which will be the surface area, which was my own made up question in part 3 here. You all know how to find the area of a rectangle, length by breadth. To find the rectangle and add the 353 twice and send your answer across. All right. So I forgot to record it, right? So the length by the breadth is this answer here. We add the 353 twice, and this is our final answer for the surface area. Right. Some people are letting me know what they did wrong, so great. All right, so let's see what's next on the list here. All right, so we're going to a different part of the island now. So you remember the first part, right, with the octopus who was getting cramps and couldn't move properly. Then it have this bridge that keeps appearing and disappearing here. All right, so let's do this question. This is a revision on maps, which we also did last term in detail. So you will need some assistance with this, right? In the exam, well, what's going to happen? You're going to have to walk with your ruler, and you're going to have to physically measure the distances, right, between the points, and you will get it in what? Centimeters, right? Now we're gonna, I know everybody's using a different size screen. Some people using their laptops, some people using their cell phones. So if everybody were to measure the distance between B and C using a ruler, we're all going to get a different value. So just to make it simple, we're just going to assume that the distance between B and C, let it be 8 centimeters. So let's just work with that, right? So we did part 1 over here already, right? So, and then you all have to do part 2 now, and we will do part 3 together. All right, so the scale here, 1 to 20 million. How the scale works is that anything you measure on a map, what they're trying to say is, in real life, it will be 20 million times larger. Whatever you measure, that's a scale factor, right? So if you measure something on a map, and today's question, it's 8 centimeters, that means in real life, it will be 20 million times larger. So we're going to multiply the 8 centimeters by 20 million. And I think we'll get 16, and we'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So I think I have it correct here. All right. The question is the answer that we just got, should I put centimeters here, or should I put kilometers? What's the correct thing to put there? T under, correct. Sahara, correct. It's supposed to be centimeters. I don't know if you all recall this from last term, right? Whenever you multiply or divide something by the scale, if you take centimeters and multiply by the scale, it comes out in centimeters. If I take inches and multiply by the scale, it comes out in inches. The moral of the story is this. When you multiply a unit by the scale, you get back the same exact unit. People have the habit of changing this to kilometers because they associate kilometers with being large. So your brain is just telling you automatically, hey, just convert it to kilometers, but it does not work so. But we want our answer in kilometers, and I think the examiner is right about this. If you are specifying the distance between 2 points on the planet, I want my distance to be in kilometers. If I ask you what's the real distance between Port of Spain and San Fernando, you're not going to call the answer in centimeters. People will think you're crazy, right? So now you have to convert this to kilometers. So convert to kilometers. Now I gave you all this formula last term. 1 kilometer is 100,000 centimeters. I would advise that you learn that off. If you walk 1 kilometer, that's the same thing as walking 100,000 centimeters. So to convert this to kilometers, guess what you have to do now? We have to divide by 100,000. And when we do that, our answer will automatically come out in kilometers. So we divide, we have 3 zeros here, 3 zeros here, 2 zeros here, two zeros. The answer would be 1,600 kilometers. So that's the answer for part 2. Right, so take down your work in, and well, to do part 3, to be honest, you actually need what? The paper in front of you. You have to get a protractor, place it on the paper, and measure the angle. But I'll give you the basics behind it in any case. Using a protractor, determine the bearing of B from A. So quick question, are we standing at point B or are we standing at point A? Well, whenever you're trying to figure out a bearing or an angle, you have to figure out where you are standing on the map. Right, so I see a couple of people got it wrong. Whenever you have a situation and you have 2 points, right, and you use the word from, you are always standing after whatever comes after the word from it. So B from A. The word or letter after from is A. So we are standing at point A. So I'm just going to draw back this little piece of the diagram here now, right? I'm just going to enlarge it. So this is point A on the map, and B is somewhere here, I guess. They want to know the bearing of A, right? But you are standing at point A. So you're standing at point A. You pull out your compass, right? We all know a compass as a north, east, west, and south. Bearings are always measured from north. So you always assume you're facing north and you're going to turn in a clockwise direction until you face point B. So this is what it will look like. You're standing at point A. This is the line to go to B, right? You're trying to get this angle here. You face north, turn until you are in line with B. So you're going to use your protractor to measure this angle. Now, this angle, if you use your protractor, will be approximately, right? And to me, it's looking like 75 degrees, something close to that. Obviously, I don't know the correct answer because I don't have a protractor on me. But I guarantee you, if you measure that blue angle, it will be close to 75 degrees. All right, so everyone okay so far? And so for those who have exams, whether it be CXC or NCSC, make sure you walk in the exam room with your protractor. Delete this. All right, so here's the next question, right? So for those who wanted more practice on the cylinders and whatnot, here's your chance, right? All right, so for part 1, they told you that the curved surface area of a cylinder, that is the underneath piece, not the dome-shaped piece, is 2 pi r h. So the curved surface area, we just have to take 2 multiplied by pi, the radius and the height. So it's 2 pi, well, they told us to use pi as 3.14, so we have to listen to the examiner on that. The radius is clearly 3 because it's going from the center to the outer, and the height is h. So I think we just have to multiply those 4 values and we find it. So 2 by 3.14 multiplied by 3 by 8, and I am getting this 150.72. And its area, so I think it will be centimeters squared. Right, so I think some of you were really overthinking that question. Right, the examiner was so nice to give you the formula. If I wrote this paper, I would have never given you the formula. All right. They want in part 2, the surface area of the hemisphere. The hemisphere is the little dome part on top. But there was a small trick to this one, right? This is obviously half of like, let's pretend the top is a basketball, but that's not a full basketball. That's a half of a basketball, half of a sphere. The surface area of a sphere, right, is 4 multiplied by pi multiplied by r squared. But when they say sphere, they mean a full sphere, you know, on top there. That's not a full sphere. That's a half of a sphere. So we have to divide it by 2. It's a little small trick. So for part 2, we have to use this formula now. You think you all can send the answer for part 2 across, right? Right, so that's 4 multiplied by 3.14 multiplied by 3 squared. Right, and I am getting 56.52 centimeters squared, right? So the answer for this is 56.52 centimeters squared. Now, I'm trying to make sure part 3 does not have a trick in it. So let's this here is a paperweight, right? Now, you notice we did 2 things, right? We found the surface area of the top part. We found the surface area going around. So I think everyone would agree that to get the total surface area, we will have to add the 2 values, right? But to me, aren't we forgetting one part of this? We have the top part, we have the part going around. Which area are we forgetting? Keep in mind that this paperweight can move around, right? Remember, you could pick up, right, Khadija, correct. But Sahara, be a little more specific. To me, we are forgetting a face. We have the face on top. We have the face going around. Which face are we forgetting? Right, I think it's the underneath, right? Doesn't it underneath of the shape? Because let me say this were to fall over. Let me say somebody push this over. Won't the underneath part be exposed now? Now, I'm not too sure if the examiner wants us to find it. I honestly think they could have been more specific, right? So here's what I suggest. Find the area of this face is just a circle. And we're going to add it in to the rest of the values. So get the total surface area, right? And the underneath is a circle. So to find the area of a circle is pi multiplied by radius squared. If the radius on top is 3, well, you can bet all your money that the radius underneath is also what? 3. So it's 3.14 multiplied by 3 squared. And whatever we get, we're going to add it to this guy, add it to this guy. You get the total surface area. Because to me, he's part of the surface. Like if it falls over or whatnot. For the face underneath alone, I am getting 28.26 centimeters squared. So let's add all 3, 1, 2, 3 values and let's see what we get. 56.52 plus 150.72. And I'm getting roughly this. 235.5 centimeters squared. Right, so make sure you physically see it on your calculator. All right, so let's move on to another part of the island and let's see what we encounter. All right, so get started with this question. So I think everyone could agree that this here is a uniform shape. Because anywhere you cut this shape, you're going to get the same face, right? It's not like the object is getting thinner or thicker. So how do you find the volume of a uniform shape? The volume is the face area multiplied by the length. Let's making sure everything in centimeters, like it have no tricks. Like remember last time I got tricked because there was a meter. So the examiner was so nice. Didn't he give you the area of the face? He came straight out and said, the face is basically a square, and the area of that square is 144 centimeters squared. So we don't even have to find the face area. He's just 144. And now we just simply multiply by the length of the shape. And let's see what we get here. 144 multiplied by 30. I'm getting 4320 centimeters cube. Right? And well, the answer has to be in cube. I noticed some people put squared, but it's volume, and volume is centimeters cube. Okay, so the next one, you have to find the total surface area, which means we have to find the area of each face. Now, if the front face is 144, then the back face, well, which we can't really see, is also 144. We just have to find the area of all the rectangles going around the shape. Now, we have 1, 2, and have a rectangle behind here that we cannot see, and a rectangle underneath the shape. So it's 4 rectangles, and I have a good feeling all 4 rectangles are going to have the same exact size. Do we know the distance from here to here and here to here? Was anyone able to reason out those distances? What's the distance of YX and WX? It would be 12, correct. Because remember, they said the face is a square. And they told us the area of the square is 144. So the only 2 measurements that are going to work out here is 12 and 12. The area of a square side by side, 12 by 12 is 144. So it seems that all the rectangles have the same exact size. The area of a rectangle is length by breadth. We have the length and we have the breadth. 30 by 12, and it's 4 of them. So when you find the area of the rectangle, multiply by 4, then add him and add him. That will be the area of all the faces, the total surface area. So send the answer across for that one. All right, so 30 by 12 is 360. So the area of one of the rectangles is 360, and we have 4 of them. So I'll multiply that by 4. That will be 1440. And then we have to add what? The 144 and the 144 again. And you all are correct. The answer is 1728 centimeters squared. So well done. I don't think I saw a single wrong answer. So that's good news. Right, so take 20 seconds, take down what you need to take down. We're going to move on to the next question. All right, so we have to make sure and do this types of question. This here deals with a sector. Right? So let's give you all some formulas, one time. So even though the only reason I'm giving any formulas up front, because in the exam, they just give you these formulas. This here is a sector. A sector is piece of a circle. It's not an entire circle. So the distance from here to N is 15 centimeters, and that would be the radius. Because remember, if this was a full circle, O to N would have been the radius in any case. If ON is 15, how much do you think OM would be? It has to be the same exact thing, right? Because both of them are 2 radius on the same circle. The curved part of the circle, right? The distance mn, his official name is the arc. Anytime they want you to find the arc length, use this formula. Pi by diameter multiplied by the angle inside here. Theta is the angle, so upper degrees. And you divide it by 360. Or some textbooks have it like this. Remember, diameter just be twice the radius. So sometimes it is write it like this in the exam. 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius. Remember, 2 by r is the same thing as diameter. And then you multiply by the angle and divide it by what? 360. If you ever want to find the area of a sector, you have to use this formula. Pi multiplied by radius squared multiplied by the angle inside the sector divided by 360. All right. So guys, I think you have everything you need in front of you to figure out part 1, part 2, and part 3. All right, so let's start up here, right? So I have all the formulas, right? So I think I'm going to use this formula to calculate the length. Let's say this one has the radius in it, right? If you use the diameter, if you're using this one, the diameter would be theta because the diameter is twice the radius. So it's 2 by 3.14 because they told us to use pi as 3.14. The radius is 15, the angle is 45, and we just always divide it by 360. So let's work that out. 2 by 3.14 by 15 by 45 divided by 360. And I am getting it to be 11.775. But if you go to 2 decimal places, you can use the 3 decimal places. I am just rounding it off to 2 decimal places, right? Centimeters. Now the perimeter of the shape. Now remember, I think some people got tricked to this. In part 1, this 11.78 is only the curved distance. It's from M to N only. So that's 11.38. Now in part 2, they're asking for the perimeter. The perimeter is the one where you pretend you're running around the shape and you count the distance you run. So you're running 11.78, then you run 15, and then you run 15 again. So what's the total distance? 11.78 plus 15 plus another 15, because you're running back to the starting point. As I'm running out of space here, that's going between those two things, right? So it's 11.78 plus 15 twice, and I am getting 41.78 centimeters. I'm checking through everyone. If you got the 41.775, it's still correct, right? Part 3 now. We're just going to use this formula to calculate the area. Pi, which is the 3.14. I'm going to put the 3.14 because that's what the examiner wants you to use for pi in this question. Multiply by the radius squared. So it's 15 squared by the angle divided by 360. Let's work that out. 3.14, 15 squared by 45 divided by 360. And I am getting 88.31 centimeters squared because it's area. Right? So take down what you need to take down, right? Another part of the island now. All right, so try this question now. Whenever you're using a 24-hour clock, right, and the value is more than 12, all you have to do is minus 12 from it, and you'll get the answer in the evening, PM now. So when you say 1420, if you minus 12 from this, right, you will get 1220. But this answer will be in the evening now. So it leaves the port at 7:30 in the morning and arrives at 12:20 in the evening. So how long did the journey take? Just pretend that you wake up at 7:30 and you reach 12:20 in the evening, the afternoon. Right? So let me just give you that answer one time, but actually I need to calculate it, sorry. But when I calculated this piece, I got 6 hours and 50 minutes, okay? Or if you don't like the minutes and you want to convert it to hours, right? It will be 6 and what? 5/6 hours. Because if you take the 50 minutes and divide it by 60, you get 5/6, right? Now 5/6 is a reoccurring decimal. So I don't advise that you put the reoccurring decimal. Leave it as a fraction, right? And of course, you can always use your fractions button on your calculator to do all the calculations afterwards. Right? So everyone should be on part 2 by now. Right. If I minus 12 from here, I put an extra 1 here. It's supposed to be what? 2:20 in the evening. My mistake, guys, my mistake. All right. Anybody else saw that, but they didn't want to tell me anything? Anytime you see a mistake, and guys, you can tell me. Yeah? So I wonder if I need to calculate this. All right. So John traveled this amount of, oh, the one is average speed. Now we all know distance is speed by time. The distance is supposed to be in kilometers. The time supposed to be in hours, which is this one here, the 6 and 5/6 hour. And if we do that, our speed will come out automatically in kilometers per hour. So we have 410 is equal to speed by 5 and 5/6. Throw across the multiply, you get what? A divide. Sorry, I'm making entire 6 and 5/6. Sorry. Now remember, when you're dividing this, you can do it straight on your calculator because your calculator has a fractions button. Anybody getting this? I'm getting 60 kilometers per hour flat without any decimals. That is if you use what? Your fractions button on your calculator, right? So, all right, I've seen people getting it. Right, so Sahara, if you use the decimal, I guarantee you will lose some marks in the exam, right? But whenever you have a decimal and it's a reoccurring decimal, right? Especially when it's such a familiar reoccurring decimal, put the fraction. Believe me, the examiner will appreciate that. Right, so you all have the next part of the question there to do. Well, I think part 1 and the other one, I'm not realizing how easy this question is. The area of the circle, well, the area of the circle is pi r squared. So now they're telling you to use pi as 22/7. So it's 22/7 multiplied by 3.5 squared. 22 divided by 7 multiplied by 3.5 squared. And I am getting a nice answer. 38.5 centimeters squared. Right now, if you physically type in 22 over 7 on the calculator, you will get this exact value. Right? So I have a feeling some people use the pi button, like you press the pi button itself on the calculator. Believe it or not, when you press the pi button versus when you physically type in 22 over 7, this gives you a slightly different answer on your calculator, right? Up to now, I have no idea why, but all calculators is the same exact thing. I should have a good reason, just I don't know it. Part 2, the square. Well, this one pretty easy. So this is a square. So if here is 3.5, then obviously over here is 3.5. The area of a square is side multiplied by side. So it's 3.5 by 3.5, right? 3.5 multiplied by 3.5. Well, I see everyone got this one correct. 12.25 centimeters squared. And to get the area of the shaded region, what do we have to do? Remember, we have the area of the full circle. The area of the full circle is 38.35, right? Won't this piece over here at all? Let me shade it in a different color. I'm using yellow here. I know if you all could see that, right? Isn't that quarter of the circle? Think about it. That's quarter of the circle, right? So to find the area of the yellow part, right? Guess what we have to do? We have to take the area of the full circle and divide it by 4. And that will give us the yellow part only. So 38.5 divided by 4, which is what? 9.625, right? I'm just going to put it 25 here. You think you all could find the area of the shaded region? Think it through and send the answer for the shaded region now. Because looking at it, we have the area of the square. We have the area of the yellow region. So the dark shaded region should be easy to reason out now. You either have to add 2 answers or subtract 2 answers. Think it through. Which one would be the correct one? Right, and you all are getting the correct thing, right? I think you all realize you have to take the area of the full square, which is this value, and minus the area of the yellow region. So it will be 12.25 minus 9.625. That's a 12.25 minus 9.625. And you're getting roughly, when you minus them, 2.625 centimeters squared. Some people have 2.63 because they might go to 2 decimal places instead. Right, so next on the list was this question, right? So I won't have time to do this question, but everyone screenshot it. Take a 10 seconds. I'm also going to post up the video under recordings in the math classroom. So even if you lost your screenshot, you'll be able to find it. All right, so let's move on to the next one quickly. Oh, I forgot it had this. Right, so it seems that someone keeps sending this fish, this mysterious safe. Right. All right, screenshot this question quickly. Right. I understand if you don't get out all for homework, all I'm asking you to do is just try. That's all. right. I think that should be enough time to screenshot it there. Oh. All right, so this is the last question, I believe. I had thing. All right, so nobody else has any theories of what the mystery on the island is? Well, you're welcome to leave, but if you want to know what was going on in the island, you can stay back a minute, right? But everyone else is free to leave. This is the reason here, and I'll give you the explanation just now. So you're actually hooked up to a computer simulation. And this is the reasoning behind it. Right. All right, so do not pass by my house and bottle it down. All right, do not burn down my house. All right, guys, so you're free to leave. I hope you're satisfied with the ending, right? Yeah, I really like that dinosaur game. I just really play that dinosaur game. All right. Take care, guys, and have a good Saturday. Have a good Saturday. Take care, take care. Take care, Haley. All right, Eugene, Mohammed, Samir. Take care. Sahara, I don't think I play that for more than 5 minutes. Even if my score high after 5 minutes, I just give up.